Summer 2026 in southwest France has been brutal so far.
Yeah.
Extraordinary temperatures started early in May, and the week we're filming this in July, we're on our fourth heat wave of the year. The three we've had so far were, I think, more intense than anything that's been recorded in recent history.
Yeah, Juliana's birthday was the hottest day since France started keeping heat wave records.
No fun.
No fun, yeah. Those heat waves combined with weeks without rain, they all kind of set the stage for the wildfires that you may have seen on the news that are burning in the Gironde, the department next door to ours, next door to the Dordogne, and it includes the Bordeaux area.
We're making this video partly as an update on the situation, but mostly because we know that these events and the news coverage of some of these might be giving you pause or concern if you're dreaming of moving to France or in the planning process of moving to France.
Hi, I'm Rena.
I'm Jason, and we're Baguette Bound. On this channel, we help Americans move, adjust, and enjoy their life living in France. So we, here at the home base, we're a little over 100 kilometers, give or take, from the fires that have been burning in the Gironde. And thank you so much to everyone who've sent us messages or emails to check on us and see how we are doing.
Really thoughtful.
We're really monitoring things daily as conditions at this moment, even now, are still favorable for fires.
Yeah, unfortunately. So, you know, we've got an evacuation plan. We know what we take, where we go. We got supplies.
We just can't help but be moved by all the first responders, the firefighters, the volunteers from all over, the pompiers, the gendarmes managing the evacuations, the military support that's been brought in to help with some of the logistics and supplies that are needed.
Yeah, I've even seen in our local paper, like, you know, photos of farmers who have been taking water tanks to support the pompiers. And then there's all of those, you know, first responders who are doing double duty covering all the rest of France, which also didn't go away while their colleagues are pitching in, you know, fighting these huge fires. It's just, it's
terrible, but it is encouraging to see everybody kind of coming together, pitching in, helping out.
Yeah.
And it's something that can't be done without everyone's help.
Yeah, I mean, incredible dedication in exhausting conditions, and we can't thank all of them enough.
Yeah.
We're also thinking of everyone who's had to leave their homes. We're wishing you safe return soon, and of course for those of you who have lost your homes, we cannot imagine, and I'm so sorry. If you are looking for a place, you, our viewer, to contribute, I know that World Food Kitchen, which is a very well-established international charity, it's providing meals and it provides meals in disaster areas. I know that they have been on site, so that's an easy one to contact from wherever you are. And also our regional newspaper, Sud-Ouest, has also started a fund to support both pompiers and victims of the fires. So we will link to both of those below if you are looking for a way that you'd like to contribute something, whether you're in France or not.
Yeah. I think that the intensity of all of this and this moment has really raised kind of a bigger question. Do the heat and the fires and this moment, should it make us reconsider living here in southwest France?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a reasonable question, right? You're always trying to make sure that you and your family are in a place that is safe and stable. And I mean, I think in our case, once you've already chosen a place and you've settled somewhere, you're kind of biased to convince yourself it's all fine.
Yeah. But if you haven't made the move yet, might be exactly the moment that you might be asking, is this really a good idea? Should I move forward? Should I change everything?
Yeah.
Definitely, if you're considering a big change, why wouldn't you try to pick a place that might weather all this climate change well? I think there's an instinct to try to find that right spot, that perfect hidden area to try to insulate ourselves from all of this. Maybe I can just kind of hunker down, hide out, and let it all pass.
Yeah.
Minnesota, maybe, that's nice and cold. Northern Canada,
right.
It's frosty. You just hope for the best while you're there.
Yeah. I think I definitely, up until this point, had sort of told ourselves, like, we have picked the best spot in France because, you know, I mean, we're not in the south, right, where like heat and drought and water shortages have become pretty common the last few years. We usually get plenty of winter rain. I'm usually complaining about it by March. We got rivers everywhere, deep water tables. Summer historically here has been like in the mid 80s most days, mid to high 80s, which I think is perfect because it's warm enough. You can get the pool. You still feel like it's summer. You can go to the lake, and then at night it cools down to like the 60s. You sleep with the windows open. I mean, I love it.
Really nice.
Yeah. But this year, looking exponentially off the charts.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
The summer high temperatures have been I think this is the first year that it's coming home to me that this is so different, the trends over the last few years, that climate change really isn't something that's coming, it's here. And that's true wherever you are.
Yeah, we see bigger, more frequent storms, more frequent droughts, more intense heat waves, both longer and hotter. And I think we all of us, we just genuinely don't know how those individual patterns might shift in each particular local place.
Yeah, it's not just heat, it's just changing.
Yeah, I mean, there's models for sure, but they're just models and they can't really predict what your town, your village, your river valley is going to experience in the coming years.
Yeah, I think this is, what I've started to realize is that the historical averages are coming to mean less because the patterns of weather themselves are starting to change.
Yeah, just because a place and a region has been a certain way for hundreds of years, it certainly doesn't mean that it's going to stay that way, or it's a great predictive pattern for what's coming next.
Yeah, and let me say, this is freaking me out, okay? Yeah. I don't like unpredictability. I like knowing how to plan for things. I've found this summer, it's felt very unsettling to me. But I also am realizing, this is our reality now of the world and the earth, and it's not reversing. So instead, we just need to start to think about okay, how are we going to cope with this? How are we going to approach it? How are we going to face this?
Yeah, you definitely have to face it. I think the first thing, we want to be living somewhere that's actually planning for climate change. I mean, it is the reality of the situation we're in, and we might as well be facing that. And no place on the planet will be untouched. So we want a government, a population, a people, a society that is willing to take this risk seriously from a practical and a pragmatic standpoint.
Yeah.
There needs to be some planning going on, and we feel that France is doing that. And certainly not everyone agrees on all the details.
Right.
And plenty think that priorities should be different. I'm very encouraged that a lot of these steps and efforts and goals are being made priorities at all.
Yeah.
The fact that there is a government website, the GeoRisk website, where I can look up all the geological, environmental, flooding risks, for a specific property or for a specific region of the country. There's kind of a realism there, and a role for the government in helping people to manage and identify those risks that might be coming.
Yeah, and the idea of taking long-term sustainability seriously. I mean, there's some things that we've kind of missed the boat on already, okay? But there's no better time than now to protect what we can and do what we can, because, everything that we don't do today is going to become our children's problem. And I feel good about living somewhere that is thinking about that is trying to take that seriously. Which, of course, one country can't do that alone. But there is that Gandhi saying, the quote, being the change that you wish to see in the world. And so I am going to go with that. I want to live a place that's doing that.
Yeah, that's important, I think. Next up, we're definitely adapting our own property and our own plans to the changing environment, and we'd encourage you as well to think about this when you are choosing a region and housing specifically in France.
Johnny Benoit has just put out a great video on house shopping and climate considerations, and he's linked to a bunch of really great French websites that have resources around this. So we will link to that video in this one.
We live in a stone house on the countryside. The stone really allows the house to stay cooler in the summer. There's good cross ventilation, lots of windows. We have high quality shutters that we can use all day to control sunlight and heat. There's definitely a pattern as we move around the house during the day to control the light and the heat coming in. Along with fans in each room, the house generally, it handles moderate heat during the summer just fine.
Yeah, and we've been living without AC for a few years now. We were pretty proud of that coming from Texas, maybe one of the most air-conditioned states in the union besides, I don't know, Arizona maybe.
Yeah.
But in the past 2 summers, we have finally accepted that when we get these long heat waves and the heat just keeps stacking up day after day, the stone keeps warming. You start to be like you're in the oven, slowly a brick oven. Because then if the nights don't cool down enough, there's not enough passive cooling. You need some kind of active cooling, especially upstairs, where the heat rises, and that also happens to be where our bedrooms are, where we sleep. So we've accepted our fate.
It is amazing how The house, I think the house, good job house, you're still doing a great job keeping the lower floors cool, but the upstairs is just so hot on day 4 or 5 of these heat waves.
Yeah,
So given that, we've accepted that the writing on the wall, and we are installing efficient heat pump air conditioning units in our upstairs bedrooms, and these should be enough to manage sleeping through these heat waves as they stretch longer and becoming more intense.
Yeah.
We're also looking at solar panels down the road, since the peak sun use during the summer should hopefully line up with peak air conditioning use. And these two things can hopefully cancel each other out.
Yeah, energy use wise. And then also as part of the renovation, we added a covered terrace to the back of the house. We didn't really have any covered outdoor areas, so kind of helps shade that exterior wall of the house that gets some sun. And also there's new windows that are more efficient, and we added insulation in some of the exterior walls. And man, between all those things, dramatic difference and that area does not have AC. We're just managing it with the shutters, and noticeably cooler this year than it was last year, so it made a big difference. We've
also been planning and working on a landscaping plan for the fall once the construction and renovation in the house wraps up. And going through this summer, we really had to change how we think about the types of plants and how we want to manage that. We really need to be able to handle long periods of drought with whatever we decide to put in.
Yeah, that was kind of not part of my calculation earlier, but I mean, we have to think about that going forward. How much water are we going to need to keep these things alive through the summer? Now, if definitely, I would say all of this, honestly, it is easier to manage because we're in the countryside in a single family home with all these features that we just talked about that help keep it cool. So you're definitely thinking about if you are moving to a city and you're more likely to be on a higher floor, it's going to get warmer, you're less likely to have cross breezes. Definitely just be thinking about these things as you're choosing an apartment. I will tell you, like, ground units in the city are often noisier, but they are cooler. So
if you're on the top floor and you've got a black roof, it can be really pretty, but that can be very toasty in the summer.
Or even skylights with no way to close them.
Yeah, definitely check the window, and if you've got any cross ventilation coming from the front and back of the apartment, that
all
really
that
can
stuff
pay off.
can make a big difference.
I think a lot of people hear this though, and they think, there's an easy solution. Why don't you just install an AC? Especially in some of these smaller apartments, it's not going to take a huge unit or a huge expense. But in a lot of the older buildings, especially on some of the narrow streets in the centre-ville, the center areas of town, it's often not possible to even install the external unit outside the building. In some areas, it's definitely expressly prohibited. If a place doesn't already have air conditioning installed, and you're thinking about renting or buying, look into this beforehand.
If you know you're going to want to install.
Not assume that you'll be able to install an air conditioning unit without checking on it first.
Yeah, you can still get one of those little portable ones that ventilate out the window, but they're a little less efficient, obviously. So ultimately, our thoughts on this whole thing are, like, we are going to deal with climate changes of some type and some amount wherever you're living.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. But we still prefer to do that while eating excellent cheese and living in a place where the culture aligns with our personal values for planning for the future, climate change included.
Yeah, and that's why we're so glad that we chose to build our lives here in France.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.
A bientôt.